Hi friends, this is NJ, host on this channel. So we will start our discussion on a new series today, which is on the nakshatras. And my approach on this topic will remain to be very detailed, very comprehensive, where we will discuss all the nakshatras in detail, all the principles, all the parameters which you need to understand in order to gain mastery over this topic. So we will discuss all of that. And like the way I always say, things are a bit different with this topic because at the time when I started my channel with the subject of palmistry, it was a bit different because lot of misinterpreting information has been spread across the net around the divine science of palmistry, where that is the only reason I tried to portray myself as a devil's advocate, and I contradicted all of that by presenting my findings, my research and my take on all of that. But when it comes to the science of astrology and the topics like nakshatras, there are many good astrologers who are doing a very good job and they're explaining it in a very efficient way. All what I'm going to do is that I'm going to present my findings and will try to explain in a very easy to understand language. So let's just start our discussion with the very first part of the discussion, which is about the introduction part. What do we get to know from this term, the nakshatra? See, nakshatra is made by joining the two words. Either it's the naks, which means the sky, and the kshetra, which is again a Hindi word which means the region. Or it could be looked at from the perspective by joining two different words, that the naksha, which is again a Hindi word which means the map, and the tara, which means the star. So what do we get to know from this? See, this celestial influence has always played a very important role, right from the time of our ancient sages or seers, who used to look at the planets, the celestial influence at the sky in order to keep a track of the days, months or the seasons. So same is the way these nakshatra give us a very fair idea in making a predictive analysis while doing the readings. It is going to take you to the depth of someone's personality. It is going to give you an accuracy in making predictions, in making readings, and they have got such a spiritual and the divine significance that they also helps you in taking out and the finding out the most auspicious time, in taking out the muhurta or the the electional astrology. That is the only reason why in in Hinduism, going by the Vedic way, there is always an auspicious time for a certain act. You want to buy a new house, you will look at the transit of the moon, that moon is transiting which nakshatra. You want to relocate, you will again take refuge in the transit of the moon. So that is the kind of significance which has been ascribed to these nakshatras. Now comes the question how it is different from the Western counterpart. See, the Indian Vedic astrological system, which is a sidereal system which is more governed by the moon influence, and the Western astrology which is more sun driven, which is more focused on the 12 zodiac sign. But the only catch and the only difference is that just relying on the zodiac sign is not going to give an accuracy to you, because let's say for example, two people born with the same zodiac sign don't think alike, don't behave alike. Why is it so? Because there is the energy of three different nakshatras behind each zodiac sign. Mars, let's say for example Mars owns two zodiac signs, Aries and Scorpio. But even the two zodiac signs owned by the same planet has got entirely different energy. Aries is all about the headstrongness, is all about the impulsiveness, whereas Scorpio is about the tumultuous energy, little bit of the revengefulness can be seen. So Mars transiting Aries will bring out different result. Same way Mars present in the Scorpio will bring out different result. Same energy of the Mars if present in the Gemini sign might manifest in a very pervert, in a very sexual way. So that is the difference which we are getting just by joining two entities, the planet and the zodiac sign. But imagine if you even get into the core of that zodiac sign, how many variations you will get. So that is the only reason you need to abide by and you need to take refuge in understanding the behavior of the nakshatras as well. So now we will understand the total configuration of these nakshatras, because why zodiac is important. Zodiac give us this is indication. Zodiac act as a reference point which helps in tracking the movement of the planets at any particular time. So but what happen is that the brightest and the fastest moving planet moon remains in one zodiac sign for 2.5 days. But let's say, for example, if you want to understand your outcome of your daily on daily basis, if you want to know what kind of events and circumstances you will run into, what will remain to be your psychology on daily basis, that you cannot get to know just by relying on the zodiac signs only. So what is going to happen is that if this is the whole sky and we have the 27 nakshatras, that will give you a dimension of 13 degree 20 minute. So this is the kind of region which each nakshatra accommodates in the sky. Now each zodiac sign carries the energy of 3 nakshatras. So let's say, for example, if it is about Aries, it carries the energies of 3 different nakshatras, which are the Ashwini, Bharani and Kritika. So we have this zodiac signs which are of 30 degree in space. So if let's say, for example, if Mars is transiting the Aries zodiac sign, but if Mars is in the 8th degree of Aries, then it will be in Ashwini. But if it will be transiting the 15 degree, then it will be in the Bharani. Then we will say that Mars is transiting the Aries and right now it is in the Bharani nakshatra. Same ways, if it will be in the 29th degree, then it will be in the Kritika nakshatra. So this is all what we get to know from the influence and the importance of these nakshatras. Now comes the question about their spiritual and the mythological significance. See, the spiritual significance, I have already explained you that these nakshatras act as the generation of the power. They act as the power center, or which generates the energy. And these planets, which are the moving bodies, which are the grahas, which are the Caesars, so once they are transiting that particular zodiac sign, they are going to act as a transmission line, which will help us in transmitting the energy. So nakshatras are the power centers. Now when it comes to the spiritual and the mythological significance, see, in our going by the ancient times and the way our sages and seers, they looked at these nakshatra, they looked at from the perspective that they carries the account of our karma. They are the abode, they are the home of all the the cosmic power, the cosmic energies and the gods. The divine presides on these nakshatras. That is the only reason why before going ahead with some auspicious work, the nakshatra has been given a lot of significance. And even in the, if we will look at it from that perspective, that in our Vedic system, in a Vedic way, the great bear has been looked at from the 7 sages, the Saptarishi. So that is the kind of significance which has been attached to these nakshatras. They have got even their mention in the Vedas. The oldest amongst the 4 Veda, which is the Rig Veda, has got the mention of these different nakshatras. In total, the 33, the 27 nakshatras and the 7 planets as well. So now comes the question of understanding their importance. Why it is important to understand? I have already explained you. They help you in your predictions, getting an accuracy, getting to the core of someone's personality while making predictions, assessing what is going to be the fair and accurate outcome. That also you will get to know by making use of these nakshatras. And lastly, they also being used for the muhurta purpose, for taking out the auspicious time. Now comes the checklist which we are going to follow while understanding all of these 27 nakshatras. So we will try to have our discussion in all of these 27 nakshatras from the perspective of the basic information, the deity which rules them, the the Ayurveda, the type of humor they belongs to, the direction which they rules, all kind of the nature and the functioning, what kind of energies which they carry, the way they manifest, the way they behave. We will also discuss that. We will also have our discussion on that what would remain to be the case, because each nakshatra which is of 13 degree and 20 minute in its region, in its in its dimension, can be further divided into 4 padas, 4 charans. So what will remain to be the specific energy of that particular nakshatra in that particular charan or in that particular pada. And we will also discuss what all are the auspicious remedies as being advised if that nakshatra is afflicted, and what all are the activities which you can undertake in this particular nakshatra. Is this nakshatra auspicious for marriage? Is this nakshatra auspicious for some kind of sexual act, or this kind of nakshatra is very auspicious for taking out some journey? So all of that we will discuss by making a comprehensive view and comprehensive discussion in all of these 27 nakshatras. So this is all what I wanted to say as my take on these as on an introductory video on these nakshatras. These nakshatras are very powerful. They carry their own energy, the Shakti which we call, like the way, for example, Ashwini has the power to heal, the Kritika which has the power to burn, known as the Dahana Shakti, Anuradha which has the power to worship, the Radhana Shakti. So that is the only reason we will understand all of these nakshatras in detail in the coming videos. So this is all what I wanted to say as my take on the introductory part of these nakshatras. I hope you guys found this video informational. For further more updates and notification on astrology on the nakshatras, please like my Facebook page and subscribe my channel. Thank you.